learn how to love like he does, have the compassion that he does for the people that we run into in the parks, on the street corner, in our families. We're going to learn how to forgive them. We're going to learn how to love on them. You know, I had someone ask me at work one day, Jack, how can you love on the guys in the park? How can you love on those guys in the park? I said, how you love on your son? How you love on your daughter? They're just out there struggling. Your kid's perfect? Your kid's perfect? I know my kids aren't. They come over, we still love on them. I just taken it from the house to the park. You know, I can't do for every one of them in the park like I can do for my own children. I can't do for my children the way my parents did for us kids. And it might be the same in yours. But if we can just make one little difference in our kids, if we can make one difference to one man or one woman in that park, we've done what God's called us to do. If it's just one person, last year, one person sleeping in here came to know the Lord. You know, I was kind of frustrated. Pastor Tony says it's all worth it. One person, it's well worth it. I was frustrated. You know, I was tired. I was in my natural man. I was in the flesh. But one person came to know the Lord. It was all worth it. You know, has anybody seen Big John? Haven't seen Big John in a while. Even hasn't been at the post office either. We need to keep him lifted in prayer. Let's go to verse 5, please. Verse 5. Who satisfies our mouth with new things, so that our youth is renewed like eagles. Okay? Now let's go to Matthew 5:6. I am sorry. I tell you what, let's just go to 107, Psalms 107:9. 107:9. We've already done Matthew 5. All right. He satisfies the longing soul and fills our hungry souls with goodness. Okay? So if you remember in 5, you know, in Matthew 5:6, he's talking about blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, so they shall be filled. If you look at some of the guys that are in these alcohol and drug programs, they're just chasing their tail. You know, I was a mentor at the mission. Okay, and there's guys that say, you know what, I'm coming in October. I'll get out in June. Then I'll go out and do what I want to do, and I'll come back in October. They're chasing their tail. They're doing something, so what? 3 hots in a cot during the winter months. That's the way they're doing it. I pray that one day that those guys that are chasing their tail will one day get a hold of someone that will cut their tail off and say, no, now it's time for you to stand up and be a godly man. You've heard the word, you've heard the word, you've heard the word, you've heard the word. Now it's time for you to act upon the word. You know, they got a good program. But we got to understand that everything that we do, from walking into 7-Eleven to going to prison to going to your job, there's rules, there's regulations, there's the right way of doing things, the wrong way of doing things. And when you break one of those, you're not seeking true righteousness. You're seeking, how's this going to benefit me? Well, I hate to tell you, it's not about you. It's about the company. You know, I got great ideas. You know, I got great ideas for where I work at, but you know what? It's standard across the United States how we do things. And there's a procedure. If I want to, I can recommend how to change something, but it's a process. And by the time that my suggestions become natural, it'll be butchered, chopped up, down to this is the way we're going to do it. Totally different, you know. But it's not about me, you know. And we have got a lot of men and women today that think we're entitled to things. And I believe that these last couple scriptures have told us we're not entitled to anything. We're not. We have to do something to get something. Uh-oh. I know that ruffles some people's feathers. But he tells us to what we have to. We have to hunger and thirst for righteousness, and then we will be filled. Okay. And I'm not talking about give to get rich. If I give, then he's going to give. And if I give $100, he's going to give me $1,000. I'm not saying that. Okay? There are people that believe that. Okay? But if he actually told you to give $1,000, you gave $100, well, you didn't do what he told you to do. So are you going to? You see my point? We can manipulate and do things differently than what God calls us to do. What we have to do is what God's called you to do. Well, he told me to give 10%. Well, give 10%. Well, he told me to give like the Bible tells me to give. Okay, well, let's start in Genesis, and let's work all the way through. And then how much is that going to be? 33.8%? Me and Miss Sandy was having a conversation. What about giving 1% with a cheerful heart? The lady with 2 mites gave 2 mites. Maybe it's $1. Maybe next month it's $10. Maybe next month it's $100. But guess what? Maybe that $10 is what we need to make rent. Maybe that $100 is what we need to pay lights, gas, and water. Okay? But if you're not doing it in obedience to Christ, then we're not being blessed so we could do what we have to do as a church because, it looks bad on a church not to pay their bills, don't it? How can we come up here and say, y'all need to be paying your bills and prosperity, 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 and get out of debt, and here we are struggling. So, see, if we all did what God called us to do, I like looking in December when Angel will do our taxes, and she'll go, what do you think we gave this year? I'll say, I don't know, 12%, 13%, 23%? I say, whoo-hoo, go God. Why? Because it might be 10% this month, but next month we might give 20%. It depends on what God's called us to do. Why? Because we're hungering and thirsting for righteousness. Just like I said with the $1 million. Yeah, I could do a lot with $1 million in the church. But if you got your hook in it, keep it. Unless you're going to let me cut the line. I didn't understand when I first came up and Pastor Tony was teaching one day and she's, people write things on check, this is for this. And I'm like, well, can't we put it over here? And she said, no, because God's allocated it for here. I was like, wow. After I seen it in action and I seen the blessing that came from being obedient to what that check said for. This is for food pantry. Oh, well, but we're short over here. No, it's for the food pantry. Well, when we do be obedient to the food pantry, she said, watch what happens. Then the money came in for over here. I was like, wow. Now, that's not giving to get. That's being obedient. Are you cold? Oh, I just put it up to 70. Oh, okay, sorry. But when we do those things and we see God, that God's just blessing, and then we just change our vocabulary. I'm not getting to get. I'm giving to watch God bless what I've given. Because I really, that lady that dropped in the 2 mites, what did he say? She was more blessed than the ones that gave the big bucks. And like I said in the beginning, money destroys people. Money brings out bitterness in people. Money destroys families. And we don't want that. And in verse 5, we can see that we are renewed. We're renewed like youth, like the eagles. Eagles are known for 3 things: their size, their strength, and their longevity. I like that longevity thing. I like that. I'm not worried about being strong because my strength comes from Him, and, all of them come from Him. But, man, I can work on my size. I can push away from the table. I can go to the gym and run and work out a little bit. But that strength and that longevity, as I pour out into Him and as I seek Him and as we seek Him together as a family, man, we can really get strong in this. I think the eagle, if I remember correctly, the eagle is the only animal that kicks its young out. Am I right? If I remember correctly. Everything else, the lions, they all stay together. The elephants all stay together and that type of thing. Dogs all stay together. But I think the eagle is the only one that kicks their little ones out and makes them go do something. Because guess what? If they don't, they're going to crash and burn because they're at the top of the peak. Okay? And sometimes that's what we need. We need our Heavenly Father to, I was going to say to prune us or to prong us or whatever that word is. What do they use, that cattle prod? That they prod it. He prods us in and said, all right, let's go. You've studied, and you've studied. You got the word inside. Now guess what? The word's not just for you. Take what you got and go out. And a lot of us just want it's about me. Look at all the word that I know. Look at the word that I know. But I'm not sharing it. No, you've got it in you. Now it's time to get it out of you. I used to come to the ministry when I first was in Bible college, and I'd be telling Pastor Bob and Tony, like, hey, I just got to tell somebody something. Because my head felt like it was about ready to explode. And when we do that, we're going to come to a place where God's going to be able to utilize us. Okay? As we sit down this Thanksgiving and we're around that table and we've loosened our belts and we've taken the tie off and we've gotten really comfortable, before you do the gouging of the turkey, go around the table and ask people what they're really thankful for. We just went over 5 things that you could be thankful for. But there's many other, and that's on that sheet of paper. But just for going around the table is so biblical. Let's just look at a few, and then we'll end. I got like 3 minutes. 1 Chronicles 16:8. Oh, give thanks to the Lord. Call upon his name. Make known his deeds among the peoples. Psalms 50:14. Okay, how about 68:19? Okay, sorry. Blessed be the Lord, who daily loads us with benefits, the God of our salvation. Selah. Think about it. And Psalms 107:22. Let them sacrifice the sacrifices of thanksgiving and declare his works with rejoicing. Okay, so there you see where going around the table is biblical, because we should be giving him thanks. And that's all I'm asking you to do. Think about this holiday, this Thanksgiving, about the blessings that you've received. What you're thankful for. Being thankful for dirty dishes. The guys on the park will be thankful for dirty clothes. Or for a wash machine, because now they can wash their dirty clothes in a wash machine, because they have a place from underneath the bridge. Or it's just I'm thankful for this one bedroom or this one room, what do you call them, studios that I've got. Why? Because I'm not under the bridge no more. There's all kinds of things that you can. So on the website, I'm going to put these up. Be thankful because of the prosperity he has given us. Because he has made us his children. Because because it is the will of God. Because of his enabling us to minister. My job is not the only one to minister in here. Every one of us is called to be ministers of reconciliation. So we all have a part to play. And, I don't know the Bible. That's okay. You got a Bible? Open it up. When you start reading, and God so loved the world. Okay, what does that mean? Brother Jack, Raymond, what does for God so loved the world mean? Hey, you know what? If God loved the whole world, Brother Jack, that means that he loves here in America, he lives in Africa, South America. That's what it means. You're having Bible study. You're ministering to one another. So it's not just my job. Pastor Bob and Tony's, Angels, Laura's, whoever stands up in front of you and does about it, it's not just there. Every one of us has a part